I never have, and I do not subscribe to the notion of overthrowing the federal government. So just to make that clear. I do, however, know that we need to throw everybody in it out. That said, Oregon, y'all lost sight of the ball here, folks. I mean, virtually everybody. Now, no offense, but you have allowed the narrative to be changed, and once again, we're going to go nowhere with this. And I'm going to tell you how. And number one, this whole video of Finicum's death, okay, it's all been changed now to wasn't murder or was he reaching for a gun. Okay, folks, it doesn't matter. Here's why. Those guys went up on the people's land and occupied the people's land. They have that right. You have that right. They did not tell anybody you couldn't come here. They invited everybody to come stand. They were armed. That is their right and lawful duty, as it is yours. They were protesting. That is their right and their lawful duty, as it is yours. They committed no crimes. They threatened no civilian. They destroyed no property. They didn't break any laws. Okay? Now, they protested the illegal occupation of American soil by a foreign registered corporation known as the BLM. Now, that is a legitimate grievance, and the fact that we all aren't protesting it is insane. Therefore, they committed no crimes and were not criminals, contrary to all the articles on this calling these armed occupiers, armed militants, criminals, and all this other crap, even by the governor of the state of Oregon, who's a piece of crap, and the sheriff, who's a piece of crap. So now they came out with a drone, I assume it's drone footage, drone or helicopter, and I also assume that it's FBI drone and not a private drone. Now, number one, you got to think, why did those men leave that refuge? Does not make sense. Why would they leave the security of their perimeter and venture out into vulnerable territory knowing there's hundreds of FBI agents sitting out there and wait? Makes me wonder. And I'm clueless as to why they would have done that. Number two, why'd Finicum get out of the truck? Was it being shot at? Was he panicked and saying, hold on, we give up? Or was he going to fight or what? I don't know. And frankly, it doesn't matter. Number three, the video footage, a lot of people are attesting it looks like he was drawing a gun. And a lot of people attest that he was just holding his stomach because he was being shot already. And we have no sound, so we don't know. And now you're all worried about, was it murder or justified shooting? And, folks, it was murder. That's all there was to it. And I'm going to explain exactly why it was murder. And then they released this drone footage where they actually show a death. Now, just go back in time a little bit and think about all the police footage you've seen out of dash cams and helicopters and everything else. When somebody gets shot, they always cut the video off right when the cop pulls the trigger, and you never get to see the person actually get shot and fall. And then they cut, and then the next thing you see is the person on the ground. So why this time do they show us the actual shooting and the person actually getting shot? To change your narrative, to change your focus. And it worked like a charm because almost everybody fell for it. The BLM has no authority on American soil, period, with the exception of the 10 mile square of Washington, D.C., okay, and its lawful territories, which is Puerto Rico, Guam, etc. Okay, that is the only place they have any jurisdiction. They do not have a jurisdiction over American state citizens. They do not have jurisdiction in the states. Okay, period. That is the law. Period. There is no question to that. There is no statutory law that supersedes the law of the land. Period. Now, the FBI is also a corporation and a faction of United States Corporation or U.S. Corp or U.S. Inc. or one of these other, United States factions. They also are all confined to their jurisdictional duties within the 10 mile squared of Washington, D.C. and its legal territories. That's it. They have no jurisdiction in the states. Period. They have no jurisdiction on American soil. Period. That's a fact. That is the standing law. That is the law of the land. So now you have these guys driving down the road, and the road is blocked by a corporation, a foreign entity, and if those guys all got out of the truck and started shooting, they're perfectly justified. Why? Because they are not, for one, they have not committed a crime, any crimes, and for two, their rights were being subjugated by a corporation. Okay, now this is no different than if me and four of my buddies went out, took assault rifles and trucks, blocked the road, and stopped you. Now, you would have every right to get out of your car and start shooting at us because we are impeding your travels unlawfully. We do not have a right to stop you. That situation there is no different. The only reason it even appears lawful is because of our perception and our ignorance of the actual law. So, regardless of what happened, folks, it doesn't matter. It was murder. The guy never should have been shot. He never broke a law, which is harmed anyone or their property or defrauded anyone. And his natural right to travel was impeded illegally, okay, by someone with no jurisdictional authority on that land. Period. So it's frickin' murder. Now, what you got to understand about this video footage coming out, y'all took your eye off the ball and you quit talking about the BLM and their right to possess or control or have authority of or jurisdiction of American land. That is the issue. Hammond's double jeopardy is the issue. If it can happen to them, it can happen to you. Don't forget that. So, if you take everything I just said and you understand these people broke no laws, they were being harassed by an unlawful authority, it doesn't matter what happened. He was murdered. They have no authority. And now you're all debating whether or not it was a justified shooting because he was going for a gun or whether it was murder. And then I see people saying, we need to find out who the shooters were and we need to charge them with murder and run them through the court systems. Folks, give me a break. You want to charge a federal agent in federal court where both sides are represented by federal counsel to get justice? That is the most ridiculous thing I have heard of. You got to be shitting me. We the people already possess all the legal authority we need to hunt down every single one of these bastards from all factions of the alphabet soup of the United States Corporation and bring them to justice. We already have that power. You just have to stand up. And you have to not play into the narrative that you got to remember, they showed you the footage. Now you're worried about whether it was murder or not. They'll probably charge these guys. They'll either, come up with a scenario. We thought he was grabbing for a gun. We didn't know, blah, blah, blah. Or they will put on this dog and pony show in federal court. And if the temper's too high, they'll charge the guy. And as soon as you hear he got charged with murder, then y'all going to go back and watch TV shows and your football games and have your barbecues and shit. And you'll never really know what really happened to these guys that shot him, because we have no way to know. Do we ever see these cops who kill people in prison years later? Oh. Too busy watching TV shows on our butts instead of watching what's going on around us on our feet.